Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Weird World podcast. This is part 2 of a two-parter. My name's Carrie.
I'm Dean.
Oh, I'm Jack.
Petting a dog.
Oh, well.
What's the two-parter about, Care?
It is about the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film.
Good job. Yes, it is. So
That was a test and I passed.
It was, and you did. Last week, we talked about a guy named Roger Patterson who became obsessed with Bigfoot in the late 50s, early 60s. He got a friend named Bob Gimlin to go out with him in October of 1967 to Bluff Creek area of Northern California and said, let's go hunt big feet with a camera. And they got some of the most famous amateur film in the history of the world, 60 seconds of an apparent Bigfoot, including about 3 seconds of really pretty clear and steady, where Bigfoot iconically looks back at the camera, and it's a very clearly female Bigfoot, if you know what I mean. We then discussed some of the problems, with the timeline as they said it happened, and also with how and where and when the film was developed. There's some issues there, but eventually, over time, the film became bigger and bigger, and eventually they were able to make a pretty significant amount of money from exhibiting the film. Then we ended last week by dissecting the film itself and kind of here are the points of folks who think it is legitimate and it's real. We're going to start today with how the critiques.
Wait a second.
Yes.
With how?
That with how.
That with how.
Such as and.
Such as and that. We're going to start today with the more critical looks at the film itself. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to talk about maybe some of the inspirations that Patterson may have had for making this film. And we're going to talk about the motivations as well, perhaps, for making the film. And then we will wrap it up. So...
You really set the agenda, didn't you?
I did.
I know.
We'll kind of wrap it up of honestly, I have a theory of how exactly that film was created and why. And we'll talk about that.
It was just very business meeting-like.
It was. It was like you're writing the agenda on the whiteboard, and you're going to check it off.
Tell them what was. There's a presentation thing like that. When you're doing presentations, is tell them what they're going to hear, tell them it, and tell them what they just heard or something like that. So.
That's like when you're selling a car. I don't know.
I don't think it's like that at all. But
you show it. You walk around it.
I'm now selling you a car. You just bought a car.
Yeah. I don't know.
You feel violated.
Yeah.
So let's talk about dissecting the film from a con, how the skeptics have looked at the film itself.
Rational people.
Hey, we're not being judgmental.
This time?
The folks in favor of the film being real do bring up some legitimate points.
Well, yeah.
Some of them see... rippling muscles there. They see a really realistic fur to them. They see something walking that doesn't seem to walk like a human. They also see a very, very large animal. I think we mentioned this earlier in part 1, but if it is a man in a suit, it's a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, especially for 1967.
Yeah, exactly. First, though, let's remember how the film was shot is by a man with a 1967 handheld film camera running through this, branch-strewn partial covering. So we talked about that earlier, how it's a shaky hot mess. So if you've seen...
Hey.
What?
Don't talk about me like that.
It's really shaky and unstable. If you, the listeners here, have seen a few seconds and they seem kind of stable, or a large chunk of it and they seem kind of stable, you have almost certainly seen an augmented piece of the film. A lot of folks on YouTube have stabilized it, they've centered it, they've made it look very, very different than the original film. I implore you to look at the original film and look how shaky and grainy and unstable it is.
And also, usually when you see a snippet of it on TV or whatever, you only see a few seconds. You don't see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And there is, like I say, there's about 3 seconds in there where he gets a good view of the Bigfoot walking away. He's about 125 feet away at the time, so it's not like it's super close. Well, he estimated he was anyway. And that's the part where it looks back at the camera.
Right.
That's that still photograph of Fame 352 is what most people have experienced in terms of the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Are you saying that the shakiness of it is evidence of it being fake?
Not necessarily, but it makes it extremely difficult to analyze it with the minuteness that a lot of the proponents have analyzed it with.
Which doesn't is neither here nor there with whether or not it's fake. I think it's
Correct.
more evidence that it's real.
No.
I think it's
neither
obvious
here nor
that
there.
that's the only way to have done it. If you set up a tripod and
Yes.
said, we're going to film here until Bigfoot walks by, it would be laugh out loud. You kind of have
Yeah.
to. The way it was set up, and we'll talk a little bit later about why they really may have been out there and what they were actually doing.
Okay.
So a lot of folks think like, oh, well, shouldn't there be a zipper? Shouldn't we see a zipper? And
Oh.
in fact, two actual. I mean, you hear that a lot. Like, where's the zipper? I haven't seen the zipper.
It's covered by fur, dum-dums.
Yeah, but two Bigfoot enthusiasts actually looked at the film in 1999 and they analyzed it
they found
very
a
close
zipper?
up, and they believe they found a zipper. They
Where is it?
That's ridiculous.
On the ankle?
It's in the middle. It's in the middle. So they theorized that it connects two parts, like a lower part and an upper part of the suit. It's kind of a bell-shaped zipper attachment near the waist of the creature. They're full of shit.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah, that
it's
doesn't
not
make any
there.
sense.
There's no zipper. That's almost like skeptical wishful thinking in a
Yeah.
sense. You're not going to find a zipper because there's no way that that's stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really good. If it's a suit, it's a really good suit. They're not
Yeah.
going to have a visible zipper. Good lord.
Yeah.
So let's forget the zipper part.
They
I mean,
know-
I want to address that because a lot of people talk about that.
Zipper.
Yeah. As we noted earlier, though, the vast majority of legitimate scientists, it was just a big yawn. They didn't even look at it. They didn't have time for it. They looked at it and they said, at best, they go, I don't know. It's probably a guy in a suit. I don't care enough to spend the hours and hours and hours and risk my reputation to take a hard technical look at this. So it's had very little work done from, legitimate academia, let's call it. But some people have looked at
Okay,
it.
so for argument's sake,
Mm-hmm.
what would it take for someone to get legitimate academia to look at something they had if they're not
Yeah.
even going to look at it?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've
From the
seen
beginning.
You can also go on YouTube and find tons and tons and tons of pictures allegedly and film of other film and pictures of Bigfoot and Sasquatch, and they're just laugh out loud terrible. They're
Yeah.
awful. Or there's one literally is a tree. It's a tree, guy. I'm sorry, buddy.
But what if someday somebody has
Yes,
one that's
it would have to. I guess it would have to be
real and nobody's going to pay attention to it because nobody's going to believe it?
I honestly, I think the Patterson-Gimlin film is compelling enough where there should be more work on it done by legitimate academics.
Yeah.
Other than just Grover Krantz and Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think they should. I think they've kind of dropped the ball. It's good enough to warrant.
Yeah,
that.
I can agree
do
with
think
that.
But even one of the most famous cryptozoologists ever, in fact, the person who's considered the father of modern cryptozoology, Bernard Heuvelmans, the French or maybe he's Belgian writer who kind of modernized and I believe invented the word cryptozoology. He thought it was completely fake. He thought it was lame. He said the hair looked too fake and too uniform to him. And here's something he said that's going to come up again: the butt.
The booty.
The butt is not splayed.
Honestly.
Primates' butts are like a gorilla. Look at gorilla's ass.
Estrus.
It's got a big old ass crack. People have a big old visible ass crack.
Yeah.
The butt of this thing is not. It doesn't look like a real butt.
Baby don't got back.
Do we ever
Yeah.
see it from the
Yeah,
back?
you see it from the back.
thought-
What do you mean? The
Oh,
whole thing
okay.
is the back.
Yeah. And
I thought it's more the side.
It's very furry.
Yeah, well, side boob. And there'd be side booty too, but there's no such
there's some
thing.
back shots as well.
Oh,
A little more
okay.
distant, I believe. But that comes up a lot. It just doesn't look like a real primate ass.
Like a Hank Hill butt.
It's more the lack of a crack. It's a crack lack. It's more the splayed
He's crack-a-lackin'.
buttocks are not there, is what primate. So a primate expert named John Napier, he worked for the Smithsonian Institute, and if you remember his name, we talked about him
does
in
sound
the Minnesota
I-
Iceman
I do
episode
remember
because he
his
debunked
name.
that. He also thought the film was a fraud. By the way, he did believe in a living Sasquatch. He was a
Really?
scientist who was a believer. But he was a scientist who said, "You got to show me. You got to prove it to me." And he didn't buy less than ironclad evidence.
Yeah.
So when he saw the Minnesota Iceman, he said, "That's bullshit, and here's why." And when he
with
saw
him.
this film, he said, "I don't believe it."
I don't know. Chimps kind of have little butts, don't they? They're
But
not-
they
been
have
looking a lot of chimp ass, Gary?
splayed
No,
ass
but I'm
They have
just
splayed ass
trying to
cracks.
picture one in my head.
Are you? You're trying to. So you're right now picturing an ass crack with a chimpanzee in your head. You're a sick woman. Listeners, please help Carrie.
How many times do we have to say the phrase splayed ass crack for you to get it?
Splayed ass crack, Carrie. Splayed.
They gotta
Splayed.
splay it.
Don't think of the big red
Maybe you
baboon.
can't see it because it's too furry.
That's more or less what it looks like, but
I
still.
mean, this is a
You can still
species
see-
of primate that nobody's ever seen before, so they don't know. Maybe this species doesn't have a splayed ass
That's
crack.
possible. That's possible. Primatologists are just arguing that all the others do. So,
It's most likely that this one would too.
Yeah, and
If
Napier,
it's from the lineage.
by the way, he's argued that the length of the strides did not match the creature's height, and he also
Ooh.
thought the footprints cast that they made looked very suspicious to him. He
As
said,
usual.
he kind of famously said, quote, "I could not see a zipper, but ... meaning
Yeah.
it was fake. He thought it was a brilliant hoax. He agreed with that. He thought it was a brilliant hoax, but he thought it was a hoax. Other scientists have also pointed out the lack of an ass crack or a splayed ass crack. Others have said that, all of the analyses by the believers who estimate height and weight and all that stuff were just nonsense because you just can't make those kinds of precise measurements, they argued. And just because of all the unknowns and uncertainties with the size of the subject, the distance from the camera, its position, its movement, the shakiness, the graininess of the film, all those things make, because you have, like Jeff Meldrum has made very precise measurements, and others have as well, that say, well, therefore the ratio of the blah, blah, blah. And you just a lot of skeptics say you can't make those kind of measurements, and that's the only thing you have really to support. Because it's like, the stride fits a large primate, or I see the rippling muscles. I see the torso has a longer ratio to the lower part of the body than a human has. Things like that. They say the skeptics say those are kind of nonsensical arguments because you can't be that precise.
Sure.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what they say.
Yeah, we don't know.
You could certainly do ratios.
You could,
because
yeah.
it doesn't matter how
Yes, that's
far or near it is. And
That's true.
If you have any idea, you're looking at the ratios. Right?
Right? I think so.
Okay.
No, I think so. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a strong argument to me
No.
either. But there's also this argument from the pro film folks who say that the movement of the creature just could not be faked. It's not human, and it can't be faked. And I mean,
I disagree with
of
that.
course it can.
That's dumb.
Anything can be faked.
I could walk like that.
You
I'm a
bend-
human.
What they cite is, he bends. The creature bends his knees too much. It lifts his feet more than
what
humans
does that
would.
even mean, though?
It just means the person was bending his knees
doesn't
a
mean
lot
a
and
human
lifting his
can't
feet
do
more.
that.
Of course
Yeah,
they can.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. Like
Yeah.
y'all think we're Barbies, and then we can only bend our knees a certain amount.
Like the person in that suit. If there's a person in the suit, like he's not going to try to walk different,
Right.
Or be forced by the constrictions of the suit to walk
Very
different. And
dumb.
we'll
Yeah.
see in a little bit later how that may have been true.
If
in
he's
this
wearing
case.
those big old fucking snowshoe looking
Exactly.
fucking big ass
You've
those slippers.
We'll get
oh,
exactly
sorry,
to
did
that
I
later on.
preempt?
Yeah, but yeah, that
Yeah.
could have made the person in the suit allegedly walk exactly like he did because he kind of had to.
Right.
Like a freaky.
Yeah, and then in terms of the speed and motion, again, we talked about the Patterson very likely filming at the normal 24 frames per second, but claiming he did it
Yeah.
at 16, and which makes, when we play at 16, it makes the creature look like it's going much faster than the human in the suit probably did in real life, if there was a human in the suit.
Okay.
None of what the supporters say the creature did can't be done by a human. They just say humans normally don't do that, so therefore it was not a man in the suit, which again is just
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. I mean, they
doesn't-
would have
yeah.
rehearsed, got it right, roll camera.
Yeah. Now, if it was like the Bigfoot on $6 Million Man
Yes.
that could jump real high, if
Yes.
it did that,
Yes.
then we'd have our answer.
We would.
Am I right? Didn't the
I don't
Bigfoot
follow you
jump
at all.
real
I don't
high?
know.
I did not see
I remember
that.
that. I do remember
There was
that.
a
There was a
Bigfoot on
Bigfoot
the
on
$6
$6 Million
Million.
Man. It was a very popular mid late 70s show.
I
that
thought he
had a
was
Bigfoot.
super. Yeah, he had powers, or not powers, but
I think he might have also been psychic. I
he
don't
could do
remember.
things that a
Whoa.
human couldn't do.
Well, yeah,
so.
he's big, strong Bigfoot.
Yep.
What about Harry and the Hendersons?
Classic.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Did he
Classic.
talk?
I love
I
that movie.
don't
Not really.
think
No.
so,
No.
He just made cute sounds.
He grunted intelligibly.
Yeah.
Sounds.
Cutesy sounds.
And facial expressions.
Oh, yeah, John Lithgow.
Made
was
him
not
very
the person
likable.
in the mask.
No.
He was the father, right?
Yes.
Okay, he was Harry.
No.
No,
he was the Henderson.
He was Mr. Henderson.
is.
Yes.
I was very young.
You weren't?
You're not anymore.
When Harry and the Hendersons? Was it early 80s, something like that?
No.
When was it? Oh, really?
I don't have my phone, so I can't check
I
it.
can quickly.
I don't
But
know
I'm
what it was.
pretty sure we were adults.
Really? Okay. I
Or
thought it was
maybe
like 81 or
teenagers.
something like that for some reason. No, it was later?
Pause.
I don't remember. We're not going to pause.
Why not?
You can look it up. What about the... What? Okay.
87.
87.
Yes.
Way off. Way
I'm
off.
so smart.
My bad.
We needed Emma here to tell us exactly
We did.
what
She
year.
would
I know, it's true.
She would have had no clue.
She said August 15th, 87.
Its initial weekend, domestic gross was $13.8 million. It finished second that weekend. What about the argument that the oddly long torso of the creature rules out a man in a suit? Remember, okay, you're right. Maybe they could get the ratio right. But why does that rule out as a man in a suit?
Yeah.
It's not the man who has the weird ratio. It's the suit that has the weird ratio, or the way the suit is worn that has the weird ratio. The same goes for the breadth of the shoulders. It had very wide shoulders. It can't be a man.
Shoulder
Really?
pads.
You ever heard of shoulder pads?
Yes. Again, though,
those
you mean
football players.
the breadth of the suit that's
Yeah.
abnormally wide, or the breadth of the suit over shoulder pads that is abnormally wide? So yeah, that's not a
Silly.
strong. That's easy for the skeptics to refute that argument. In terms of the muscles under the skin and the fur, which again to me is a fairly compelling argument. I've seen the film. I've looked at it close up and zoomed and stuff. And
I question
I
the
don't really
ability
see
to see
muscles
muscles.
rippling.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff Meldon draws a trapezoid. There's the trapezius right there. No, you
'Cause
just
you
drew
know
a
it.
triangle where that should be. That's all you
Yeah.
just did.
Exactly.
I mean, some people, in fact, a lot of people, including a lot of scientists, were seeing canals on the surface of Mars in the late 19th century to the early 20th century. Well into the 20th century, they still were saying those are canals. They were never canals. You saw what your eyes wanted to see. That's the best I can do in terms of seeing rippling muscles under the skin of this creature in that film. If you want to see that, you're going to see that. I don't see it. Anyway, right? What's that word again? We still have to do a weird world on that. Where the pattern apophenia. I'm mangling that word.
I don't know.
Thanks for the help, guys.
We don't know.
We don't
what
know.
You're
It's
talking
It's
about.
the mental. You see patterns that aren't there.
Pareidolia.
That's it. So you did know. So you
I didn't know
lied.
that's what you were talking
That's
about.
what I was talking about. Yeah, it's pareidolia. This
You're
seeing
welcome.
I guess it's not a pattern.
Jesus in the toast.
Jesus in the toast. Yeah, muscles on the
Oh,
Bigfoot.
gotcha. The Man in the Moon.
Man in the moon.
Exactly.
I see the Man in the Moon.
I'm sure you
All
do.
the
Does he
time.
see
I
you?
don't.
No.
He doesn't see you.
Well,
That's interesting.
according to the song, he does.
Yes, exactly my point. He's been spying
Yeah.
on you for years, Garrett. He watches you bathe.
Wow.
But I don't think so.
He's a creepy man.
He has
X.
X-ray vision. He can see through walls.
Well,
And
He's
sure.
Superman. Superman in the moon.
Superman. There were also questions surrounding the shape of the creature itself. Again, John Napier, the Smithsonian primatologist, he noted that the sagittal crest visible on the creature's
yeah,
skull,
yeah.
right? He talked about that. This feature, it turns out, is generally found in the male of a primate species,
Gorillas.
like gorillas and orangutans. Exactly, not the
Oh.
female in gorillas and orangutans. Don't have that.
like the cone-heady looking thing.
Sexual dimorphism.
The cone-headed little thing.
No, it's not. It's like a
It's the-
crest on their skull. It's for muscle attachment.
Yeah,
So the big ass male gorillas can have as much muscle
Yeah.
as they can.
with displayed buttocks. It's
know that.
so it's in male gorillas, it's in male orangs, it's not in females, and Patty is clearly a female here. Again, it could be maybe this creature has a female with a sagittal crest. That's not impossible, but
Maybe.
Napier pointed out to say that would be very unusual. But the crest also
Maybe it was a male with big boobs.
so man boobs, so moobs,
Correct.
Male with
Gynecomastia.
boobs. You know what? They didn't see a Bigfoot dingling or a Bigfoot vag, so maybe you're right, Curry.
Yep.
It's all covered by
I hadn't
fur.
thought about that. No, I don't
Yeah.
think it
And
is.
most of the primates have really tiny penises.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a female. Gary, if you've seen those swimming in boobies,
I did.
those-
They're
I
pendulous
did see
breasts.
They
Yes.
are pendulous. That's not a man. Trust me. You just have to
Okay.
take my word for it. The crest, though, the sagittal crest also indicates a largely herbivorous diet. And a lot of people say it doesn't look like an herbivore. Like, think of a gorilla. They
Yeah.
tend to have giant lower jaws because they're grinding, and they have pot bellies because they put a shit ton of plant matter in there and it just sits there for long periods of time. And this thing is much svelter than that and with a little more normal ratio of the jaw. So it doesn't have the look of the kind of herbivorous creature that would
Yeah.
have a sagittal crest.
The morphology ain't
Yes.
cutting it.
So that's some.
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, think of cows and other herbivores. They all got those big old stomachs.
Yeah. I can't refute any of that.
You can't.
Scientifical talk.
You're
Napier finally points out that he finds fault in the size of the feet of Patty, her
Oh.
height, and the stride measured by Patterson. He just argues that they don't match. And he says that the stride to him looks exaggerated to him. So you combine those three factors, and primatologically speaking, he says that Patty just doesn't make physical sense to him. This is Napier's argument.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now let's talk. We'll finish up the con of the film with the film speed itself. Right. Again, this is critical since a human in a suit probably could not have moved across that meadow as fast as it did in the time it did if Roger Patterson really was taking the film at 16 frames per second. If he was filming at 24 frames per second, the creature, man in a suit or real creature, was actually moving slower than it appears.
Yeah.
So that's pretty important. So a guy named D.W. Grieve of the Royal Free Hospital, way back in 1971, he did an in-depth analysis of the film. I don't know what he did at the Royal Free Hospital, but he had expertise in this. I don't remember what it was. Just trust me.
Okay.
He said if the film was shot at 24 frames per second, then the movements look very much normal and human. And again, did we mention that 24 frames per second was just undoubtedly what Patterson would have chosen to film at. The only way he can say he made a mistake to film it at 16. And proponents have argued that camera did have this kind of free-flowing clicker that went from 16 to 48 or something like that frames per second, and that he just kind of made a mistake. That's just insanely unlikely. You would not want to do that. You would ruin the commercial.
Yeah.
Your commercial viability of the film if you filmed it at 16, if you're going to try to sell it and exhibit it, which he, of course.
And also, isn't that verifiable? Can't people go back and check that model of camera from that time period?
Yeah, no,
and be
the
like,
camera,
did
yes.
it have that actual
It did.
mechanism?
Yes, it did.
Oh, yeah, but...
It could have shot at 16.
I see what you mean.
But he would have had to make a huge screw up to leave it at 16 or to have ever put it at 16.
Yeah.
So why would it have ever been? It would have had to be a screw up. Which is not
And
impossible.
isn't that what he said?
But it's unlikely.
That he messed up?
Of course he did. But when people pointed out, oh, by the way, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and if it was a genuine
he says, well,
mistake.
yeah, I must have screwed up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the inspiration for the film, potentially.
Okay.
Which is, I'll tell you why it's important in a second here. A couple of authors named Daniel Loxton and Donald Prothero.
Ooh.
Or Prothero.
These are some great names. D.W. Grieve, Daniel Prothero.
They wrote a book called Abominable Science, and they pointed out a possible inspiration for Patty. It's a story, the story of William Rowe. Rowe claimed that in 1955 he was out hiking on the Mica Mountain in British Columbia.
That's a word.
And he saw a huge creature squatting near a clearing. Okay, I believe I can't remember if it was by a stream or not. It was covered in fur. It was over 6 feet tall. It was massively built. And then as it calmly strode by him, he noticed one other critical feature. Huge pendulous breast.
Yep.
This thing was female. He had I've read it. He has an incredibly detailed description of the creature. I mean, incredibly detailed for shitting your pants and have this thing just walk by you.
Yeah.
And it really, and his report, you'll see in a second, was made public in 1957, but it became kind of the prototype for the Bigfoot from that period forward. Previously, reports of this creature out there in the wilderness, they date back, well, allegedly, they really don't date to the 1950s. Honestly, it doesn't have the kind of pedigree or provenance that the proponents claim it does.
Yeah.
But there are the stories going back to like the Ape Canyon incident of 1924, but that wasn't told until much later. And in fact, we talked about the incident, I'm trying to blank on the guy's name, who was kidnapped and carried away in his sleeping bag by a Bigfoot that carried him to his family and whatnot. Again, that was that was allegedly took place in the 20s, but was told in the 50s.
Albert Osterman.
Carry, go, girl.
And you say you have no room for new information in
Oh, yes, you do, girl. So it really became popular in the 50s, and all of these stories came from the 50s, and that prototype kind of became set, much like the gray alien prototype for UFOs and for ETs became set gradually in kind of the 80s.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are there no Native American stories of?
Every time you see something supernatural and they say, oh, this is based on Native American legend, it's almost always mistranslations, misinterpretations, sometimes purposeful. Yeah, think of Greek legends. There's unicorns and centaurs and minotaurs and things like that. Native Americans have all kinds of legends along those lines of seemingly. So yes, you can find a large creature in the forest. No shit, in Native American legend. It doesn't mean it has any correspondence whatsoever to a Sasquatch.
Why
or
are you
to
so
a Bigfoot.
hostile toward me?
Because that's
the question.
Because that a lot of people they misuse Native American legends. Like one day we'll do the Thunderbird here, and the Thunderbird. There's legends of Native American tribes going way back to this thing called the Thunderbird, but it turns out it was something something clearly supernatural, almost like literally a thunderstorm. Yeah. And the creature itself is not remotely intended to be taken as a real flesh and blood thing, and they turn it into a 25-foot eagle or a pterodactyl.
Okay. but I wasn't really asking you if
No.
there's a Native American legend about some mythological creature.
Yeah.
I'm sure the natives had words and stories about buffalo and bison and eagles and bears.
Go on.
So
Yes.
is there also one of a creature like this?
Well, that's what
there
I was answering.
are Native
That's what
Americans that
I
we
did
were
answer
always
that.
capable of talking to.
I did answer that. Native American legends about a large creature in the forest. Yes,
Okay.
there are, but it doesn't mean it's a correspondence with Bigfoot.
Yeah,
or
he's saying that
Sasquatch.
people
That's
tend
exactly
to
what I said.
ascribe the modern
Yeah.
meaning of Bigfoot to historical Native American
Yeah.
legends, whether it's correct or not.
That were meant
No,
as
I know.
fictional
Okay.
mythological
I'm not talking
creatures.
about what white people think about the Native American stories. Have we not asked the Native Americans?
No.
Well, yes, sure,
I don't
but
think
no one's
so.
going to say, "Oh, yeah." I mean, it's so long ago that what I'm saying, that if to the degree there is any kind of oral history, there are oral Native American histories and mythology of things that are Bigfoot-like, in some sense.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm answering this question 3 times. There are yes, but not. But it doesn't mean that they're saying that they're describing what we think of as a Sasquatch.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, where the name, are you going to talk about it ever, where the name Sasquatch came from? Because that name to me sounds
It is.
Like
It is
a
Native American.
There's all
but
kinds of different names. It's tons of names. Just like the abominable snowman, there's 117 different names for that thing.
Yeah.
The Yeti, there's the Mekong Yeti, things like that. There's all kinds of names. But again,
I'm gonna
it's
look
the mythology. It's white people grabbing a name from Native mythology
Yeah.
and
Putting it
putting it
on
on
there,
to their
Yeah.
modern conception of this creature, this supernatural creature that we now call Bigfoot or Sasquatch. The Patterson-Gimlin film not only followed the creature type that Rowe set down, but the details of the Rowe encounter were very, very similar to Patterson's details of their encounter. The squatting creature is by the river. It walked over to a meadow. It had pendulous breasts. The physical description is almost identical.
The calmness.
Yeah. So
relative.
basically, Lox and Prothero were saying that essentially they more or less stole the story
Plagiarized
from
our
Rowe.
story.
Yeah, that's what they basically did. And remember, and so they asked the question. Okay, so now let's look into this Rowe story. That was a major early Bigfoot story. If the Rowe story is questionable in their mind, that makes the Patterson-Gimlin film questionable. So they looked up this Rowe story and they find out that the whole story relied completely on letters this guy William Rowe had written to an early Canadian Bigfoot researcher named John Green, a prominent Bigfoot researcher,
yeah,
one of
he
the
talked
biggest
about
and
him.
early ones, right?
Yeah.
In fact, it turns out no Bigfoot believer, no journalist, no one had ever personally interviewed William Rowe. They'd never even directly spoken to him. And by the way, there were no contemporaneous reports that John Green can find of like friends of William Rowe or things like that say, oh yeah, he talked about that back in 1955 when it allegedly happened. Remember, the story went public in 1957. So what happened is
and
that
then did he die soon after or something?
he did.
Okay.
When a Sasquatch sighting was made the news in 1957, Rowe then went to allegedly went to a newspaper or two in Alberta where he now lived. He had moved from British Columbia to Alberta in the ensuing time, and he told them, "Hey, 2 years ago back in British Columbia, here's what happened to me." And he told his story we just related. Green heard about this from that Alberta media, contacted Rowe, and then they traded letters. That's it. He never spoke to him in person,
okay.
never directly talked to
So
him.
that's where the letters came from. Oh, okay.
And then what happened is that Rowe sent in a quote unquote sworn affidavit. Here's what happened, and that the report comes entirely from that affidavit. I'm going to say that in quotes that he sent to John Green, and John Green then publicized it. And you hear a lot of the Bigfoot writers make a big deal like, it's a sworn affidavit, okay? You can't lie and things like that. That's really serious, which of course is just childish.
Silly.
Yeah.
It's like, y'all are really that naive.
Yeah, I mean, you literally say that. Ivan Sanders said something like, oh, maybe Americans don't take that shit, but Canadians take it very
funny.
seriously.
I was like, yeah, so did me in elementary school when I said, yeah, I did all 5 nights of my reading log, but no, I didn't, bitch.
But you're a lying American.
I swore on that affidavit.
Ryan Reynolds would not have said that.
So did I. I had to sign those things.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It was kind of a he said, she said
Yeah.
story, and the she in this case was a Sasquatch who was not readily available for deposition. So it's childish to sit there and say he could have made it up. It's a sworn affidavit.
Yeah.
It must have happened.
Let's
embarrassing.
make that YouTube video deposing a Sasquatch.
Were you or were you not? Did you have your pendulous breast out swinging across the metal? Yes or no, ma'am? Could you please read that back? Person who does that thing. Stenographer. Person who does that thing with their fingers on the thing. The two researchers concluded that because the Roe encounter was likely a hoax, the Patterson-Gimlin film must also be a hoax because it followed it so closely. That's an overstatement. That's not true.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much of a...
That is, I think. But it is telling that the Patterson-Gimlin film matches that Roe story pretty closely,
well, yeah.
And physically, and the encounter itself. So that it's a little bit of a half a nail in the coffin of PGF because it is suspicious.
One staple.
Yes, it's at least a staple, but with a staple gun. So it's solidly.
One of those wood staples.
Yes. Okay. There are also just basic questions about the authenticity of the film itself. Again, there's no proof that Patterson had the film developed when and where he said it was developed. Remember we talked about how Al Datley just goes, I forgot where I took it. I don't know when I took it. What that means is that it means not being able to say who developed the film means that no one can be questioned to deny that they developed a film with a Bigfoot in it or when they developed it. Because remember, there's a lot of allegations it was done earlier than they said it was done.
Yeah.
So if you, we developed that film a week before they said, that would be
damning.
The end of the story.
Yeah, because just the fact that somebody developed that film leads no credibility to the contents of the film.
Yes,
you know
I
what
agree.
Absolutely.
So it only can talk of the timing of it.
Yeah, well, and yes, you're right, but it would also be, but the fact that they conveniently forgotten when and where it was developed means you can't question those people at all for whatever question you have for them.
Well, so, I mean, somebody developed the film.
I know, why haven't they come forward?
Yeah, so that person, let's say it was 3 months earlier than they said.
Or a week, it wouldn't have been that long.
You can see what you're
whatever.
developing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, is there like something about the nature of developing the film that you can't really see exactly what's on it, the negatives?
I was thinking that you're just developing the film and giving it to them. I don't know that you're watching it.
You're going to check and make sure that it's
coming
out,
out,
right?
That's actually true.
Yeah.
You probably would check it, put it through an actual film camera, and just. But then also, if you check it, you might just accidentally check
not the whole thing.
300 frames at the beginning that are just shaky brush. That are really
a lot of it.
That's true.
A lot of it was him just filming Bob Gimlin riding his horse.
That's true. He's like, what are these
mountains?
gay people doing in the mountains?
Yeah, that's what he said. This is the early Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
It was most of it is that. I mean, honest to God, there's a few seconds of clearly visible, relatively stable Bigfoot. Again, the whole first, 10 or 15, 20 seconds of it is like, I don't see anything except this guy running around and is that a tree flying by up and down?
This guy running around? This guy.
Bob, Roger Patterson. I think it could be developed without seeing and go, oh shit, I just developed a shot of a Bigfoot at Kodak. I don't know who develops those kind of films. Kinko's, yes, in 1967.
I don't know the world.
Gimlin and Patterson's stories also changed about how exactly they got the film developed, as you recall, and they finally settled on that they had a chartered plane, chartered back to Yakima from Northern California, right? So not only would this be pretty goddamn expensive, but Peter Byrne, who is also a cryptological researcher, he checked this a few years later, or some not that long later, I don't think. He checked that, and he found that there's only a few planes that could have and would have made that charter flight, and from Eureka area to Yakima, and all of them were grounded by bad weather on that day. All of them. And remember, they talked about. Remember, it started raining that night.
Right. Yeah.
And they were the roads were going to wash out, et cetera. So they can't backtrack on that. The weather was really bad.
You said yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Guys.
Yes. Jack says accusatorily. Yeah. There's so Byrne claimed that those charter companies said no, we were grounded that night.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have flown something back to Yakima.
Come on now. This is why you don't lie about the large things.
The little things like that are hard to think of. And like the sagittal crest. Oh, it looks cool, but you're not an expert
you're not a
zoologist, morphologist, whatever, who's going to say, that doesn't really fit with the creature, the rest of the creature. And then, of course, there's just the sheer luck of going to hunt for this incredibly, insanely elusive animal, and that if it exists, it's very, very, very rare, and then it lopes slowly across your field when you're out there with a film camera ready to take a picture of it, and right there in your saddlebag. And you just happen to be a massive Bigfoot enthusiast, obsessed with Bigfoot, with that camera out there at the time. I know that's not completely fair because it's those people who would be the kind of person out there. I get that. But it still is shockingly fortunate for this to have happened when it happened, where it happened. And think about this. All those Bigfoot shows out there, all those countless amateurs out there, every hiker with a GoPro, which is to say all of them, I believe, no one's ever captured a view of a Bigfoot that comes remotely to be as good as this. I mean, no one's ever captured one in an honest way, I don't think, because like I say, I've looked at the supposed Bigfoot pictures and Bigfoot film, and they're just awful. The other ones, other than the PGF, they're dreadful. There's nothing that comes close to it. It's kind of like the alien autopsy thing. There's tons of film of supposed alien autopsies. There's one that's almost as good as the one that Fox did, but they're mostly just. They're terrible.
Really funny.
They're embarrassing. Stop trying, guys. Unless you view the film before you load it onto YouTube.
Yeah.
Have a couple of friends look at it and just ask for their honest opinion. I really wish you did that before because you're really bad at what you're doing.
And not your 13-year-old cousin.
No.
Like,
looks good, right? Does it look good? Okay, well, let's do it, man.
Whoa,
Let's do it.
bro.
This is gonna be so cool, man. Watch this, man. Dude. Well, let's talk about motives now. Patterson had, at best, a checkered reputation, if we're being very, very nice.
Oh.
He was accused by one author of hoaxing Bigfoot prints, by the way, in Yakima. He supposedly found Bigfoot prints, and one person, I don't have the name, who looked into that said it was an obvious fake Bigfoot prints that he did back in the mid-'60s near Yakima. Greg Long, though, researched this whole story at length. I mean, years. He spent years researching it in the late 1990s and the early 2000s.
Wow.
I know.
Greg Long at length.
I don't know. Greg Long wasn't any professional. That's what I mean. For someone who's a legit zoologist, whatever, to say, hey, I'm going to go look at this intensely, that could literally be years of work.
Yeah,
and
that
it's just not worth it to him. So you put yourself in their place before we condemn them for not looking into it. Whereas obsessed Bigfoot enthusiast, that's all they do. So Greg Long took the time to look at this, and he looked at Patterson's background exhaustively over the course of years again. He literally talked to anyone who ever knew him and talked to Roger Patterson. He talked to everyone who knew him that was still alive in the 90s and early 2000s. And the portrait he came away with was this kind of backwoods scam artist. A friend of Patterson said, quote, "He was a cheat, a liar, and a thief."
Wow.
End quote. He was always on the make for a big score, and he was just lazy. He just wanted to live a life of ease. He wanted to make this big score, make a shit ton of money, and live it up easy.
Why are you friends with
too.
him?
I know, but
But we don't act like that.
But do you cheat and scam everyone you ever knew?
No.
See, people who knew him said he cheated and scammed everyone he knew. I'm not going to belabor it, but I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
Patterson would often be without phone service because he wouldn't pay the bill. He was famous for that, by the way. He didn't pay his bills. He never did. So he wouldn't pay his phone bill. He'd be without a phone for a while. And eventually he'd pay his phone bill and get the phone back. But one time he was out without a phone, and so he asked a friend, "Hey, can I use your phone?" And I guess, sure, there it is in the kitchen, whatever. So on the sly, he then rang up a $700 long-distance phone bill, and he just flat out never paid it.
Wow.
Refused to pay. Said, "Are you going to pay it?" "Nope, I'm not going to pay it." And he never paid it.
Wow.
I checked, and it was in the mid-1960s. That'd be about $5,700 today. So he rang up a $5,000 phone bill and said, "Fuck you, I'm paying it."
Wow.
That's the kind of guy he was. And, oh, by the way, he was short. He was like 5'2", 5'3", but he was a badass. He was a weightlifter. He was built. He was a fighter.
Oh,
so a lot of people were just intimidated and didn't ask him twice to pay them back because they were afraid of him. So he did a lot. He didn't pay. He racked up bills for various things and didn't pay.
What the fuck?
If you let him,
how did he not get killed? That's
they're
the kind of
more
shit.
afraid of him than he was of
I
them.
guess, but people have guns.
He
gives
was
a shit if you
good
got
with a gun
muscles.
too. He was good with a gun and good with his fist. He once, I read one anecdote. He once, four dudes in a truck came by. They said some shit to him. He jumped in the truck, beat the two of them to unconsciousness, and then got out of the truck and they just took off.
What the fuck?
So he was a bad dude. He when he racked up a bill and he cheated you and scammed you, he got away with it.
Sounds like a psychopath.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And remember we talked about he wrote his book called, in 1966, he called it Do Abominable Snowmen of America Really Exist, the badly titled book. And so that was written in 1966, and he self-published it, right? In the spring of 1967, Patterson began to lay the groundwork for shooting a kind of quasi-documentary about Bigfoot encounters. He wanted to do like almost like a nature film. Remember the old Disney nature films about the cougar?
Yeah.
Like, think of those, like you follow the cougar around. Here's the old cougar getting into a mess of trouble with the bobcat, that kind of shit.
Oh my God, lemmings running off the cliff.
Exactly. He wanted to do that, but about Bigfoot. Obviously, it'd have to be fictionalized, but it'd be about like historical Bigfoot encounters, like the Ape Canyon incident where these miners were supposedly attacked by this Bigfoot who threw rocks at them all night and things like that. So this remember, a fictional sort of quasi-documentary. He started traveling down to Southern California multiple times in early 1967, trying to get someone interested in funding this movie that would be based on his book, right? So the story, he had a story. The story would center on a couple of cowboys being led by an Indian tracker and an old miner to find Bigfoot. And they would have like flashbacks to past like the Ape Canyon incident, things like that. That was the hook of the story. It was a movie. It's a fictional movie. The Indian guy, by the way, was going to be played by Bob Gimlin in a wig. So Bob Gimlin was in on that from the get-go on this movie. We'll talk about Gimlin later, but a lot of people kind of give him a pass, and they frankly should not.
Yeah, no.
They even shot some scenes over the Memorial Day weekend in 1967 with 9 volunteers, friends of his, including Gimlin. And by the way, another Patterson friend named Bob Hieronymus, who we'll hear about in a minute. Ooh. Essentially, they were, like I said, going to make this sort of nature film about Bigfoot, but then no studio wanted anything to do with it, right? He's going to Southern California. No one's getting interested. Finally, a company called American National Enterprise stepped in.
I don't like it.
They made wildlife films. Cheap, kind of wildlife films. That was their gig. They said, okay, you know what? We like this. We'll fund it. They funded.
Wow, that's surprising.
It was A&E, American National Enterprise, that funded the rental of his expensive camera for October. It was A&E that funded the film. He was able to buy the film stock, to buy the reels of film to go out there and shoot. 16mm film is not cheap.
Right.
In 1967 especially. Remember, he was always on the edge of poverty. And they did a photo shoot of Patterson and some of his friends kind of on a backwoods Bigfoot hunt to show to the A&E guys. What they didn't tell the A&E guys is that they took that in his backyard. That was the Memorial Day weekend stuff. Was done in his backyard. You heap see Bigfoot in the corner. They did this cheesy little kind of shots. It's like, okay, here's the kind of thing we're going to do, and they sent that to A&E.
Oh my God.
And A&E said, score. Okay, we'll fund your trip in October, and they did.
We'll just ignore the fucking chain link fence over there.
He must have had a big backyard with a lot of
Yeah.
trees in it, and they shot
Up in Washington,
smart
I'm sure.
angles.
Yeah.
But still.
They didn't have cinder block walls in the back.
Yeah.
So to shoot this fictionalized quasi-documentary, what are they going to need? They're going to need a suit, and they're going to need to make an actor in that suit look like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So I asked the question, is that why Patterson then commission a suit, a Bigfoot suit, and maybe modify it a little bit, not to fool anyone, at least not at first, but to make this film, to make this fictional film about Bigfoot that he was making, that he wanted to make, and that he had got the go-ahead from A&E to make.
So how come all of this wasn't always part of the story of this film?
Because the people who tell the story of the film are 99% believers, and they're not going to want to put the part. I mean, that's just the nature. Anytime, I've said this before, every time you watch a show about something supernatural on, whatever, History or TLC or any of those, or Discovery, they are knowingly lying to you.
Yeah.
They consistently leave out anything that doesn't agree. They'll say things that just simply aren't true. Like Bermuda Triangle is a classic example. It's always like on a calm and whatever day, and in fact, it was a 65-mile-per-hour squall that perfectly explains why that sailboat went missing.
Or the fact that people go through the fucking Bermuda Triangle all day, every day.
Every day is one of the most well-traveled. In fact, Lloyd's of London charges not one penny more for insurance going through the Bermuda Triangle than they would of a like area, because it's not dangerous. And if it was, they would charge you more. Then somewhere along the way, did Patterson decide that, wait a second, we can make a much, much, much bigger splash if this was real. In fact, did he actually,
Yeah.
I wonder, did they actually film the damn thing? So in other words, when they're getting prepared to film, they could have thought, wait a second, we've got this great suit.
Looks pretty good.
Let's make this, or did it even get to the point where they filmed it for the documentary? In other words, here he is. In that movie, he would have himself spot a Bigfoot up ahead, jump off his horse, and go take the camera. And then they're viewing the film and go,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, this is really good." One of those two things could have easily happened. Either they've thought about it as they're making the film, or thought about it after they made the film and realized it's way more profitable if we pretend it's real than it's not.
So what ended up happening with A&E?
I was just about to ask that.
He ripped them off. So if that's true, in other words, if he filmed it, because he filmed it on A&E's dime.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If he did so and then realized whether before or after he filmed it, I can make more money by pretending this is real, he ripped off AME because he just went back to AME and said, A&E and said, I'm dropping it. I don't want to do that film anymore.
Okay.
And he dropped the relationship with A&E. And then remember, he had shot this footage on their dime and then said, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then just a short while later, he's up there on his own dime. And allegedly, and he suddenly gets this amazing footage of Bigfoot in
So this
Bluff
is why
Creek.
big timing matters.
He basically Zuckerberged them. Think about it. He said,
a little bit.
let them pay for. They're going to pay for this documentary of mine. Oh shit! What a great idea! I'm dropping that one. I'm now not. And shortly later, he has the same idea, but now it belongs to him,
and it's
not
real.
to A&E. And he
Guitar
says it's
Hero
real.
did.
Yeah.
He Zuckerberged them.
That's what happened with Guitar Hero too. It was supposed to be a remake of a Japanese game with like the American division of that company.
Oh, really?
But then the people who were working on it, they developed the company, or they developed the new controller, and all that.
Yeah.
And then they just left the company, made their own company, and made their own game and took it over.
Guitar Hero them doesn't sound as good as Zuckerberg, but I get you.
But Guitar Hero is better, and it didn't destabilize our democracy.
That's true. That's true. It just made us all shredders.
Yeah.
Roger Patterson also, by the way, knew he had cancer and likely didn't have long to live.
Yeah.
So some folks think, well, is this kind of a way for him to provide for his beloved wife, Patricia, after he was gone? Or was he simply this lifelong huckster and this was his latest scam? Or was it por qué los dos?
¿Y por qué no
It
las
could have been
das?
against los dos. So that's kind of more or less what I think probably happened. I
You
think-
should have led with all of this, and then it could have been a much shorter podcast.
No, that'd be lame.
Yeah, it could have been a weird bit.
No. No, you gotta get into it. So let's talk about how they could have done it. As we mentioned, Patterson would have needed a Bigfoot suit, a good Bigfoot suit to do this.
really
You can't have a
good
shitty one to make this sort of mockumentary. A variety of special effects experts have opined about that suit, right? And their opinions range from super lame, it's obviously fake, to I don't see how that could have been done in 1967. It really does. It runs the gamut. We just don't know. Some people think it could be easily fixed. Who was it? I think it was Sam Winston said, like, I could have done that for $200.
Yeah.
It's not that good. Other good special effects folks have said, no, that was great.
Like that one guy in that one documentary that you were talking about last episode.
Yes.
I forgot his name, but the legendary special effects artist from like that one movies.
From those various movies, yes. Yes,
Sam
I think it was
Winston.
Dan Winston.
It was.
It was Dan
Oh.
Winston. So he changed his tune with the Alien Autopsy.
Yeah, oh, yeah, see?
With the Patterson-Gimlin film, it was like, that's bullshit. With the Alien Autopsy, he was like, wow, that guy should have a job in
Oh, yeah, I'm getting
Hollywood.
them all mixed up.
So
Yeah.
Did
Y'all
anybody
silly.
ever go to all of the costume makers and special effects people? And
Yeah.
no,
ask,
because that's physically impossible. But
Are you kidding me?
Do you know how?
Carrie just gave me a Gary Coleman look from Different
Obviously,
Strokes.
that's not impossible.
Well, yeah, it is. Do you know how many of those
Oh my
exist?
God, Gary. But also, if they did it,
Countless.
they wouldn't, theoretically, he would not want them to talk about that. He would have paid them to do so. So, but I have something close to that for you. It was in 2002, someone did come forward to claim credit. His name is Philip Morris from North Carolina, but he
The
wasn't a
Philip
cigarette
Morris.
company. He was a costume designer. He said that he'd been talking for years about that he had made the costume. He'd been saying since the 80s. He had talked that, like at conventions and stuff like that. He had said, I made that costume.
Did he have pictures?
No.
Oh, Then I'm not sure I believe.
I don't know if I believe him either, but he finally openly in 2002 on a radio show he talked about it, and then Charlotte Observer wrote a story about here's the guy who made the Bigfoot suit in the Patterson-Gimlin film. He explained that he held this secret for so long, or at least kind of semi-secret, because he's protecting his business. It wouldn't be good if someone commissioned you to make a suit on the down low. It could be bad for business if you divulge that. So that's why he didn't come public until 2002, even though he'd been talking about it for some time. His story.
I don't know.
He said that he thought Patterson, it was basically a gorilla suit, more or less, and that Patterson modified it to look a little different with wider shoulders and a little bit longer arms, is what he said Patterson did to it. And he explained that the wearer could have worn football shoulder pads and maybe used little sticks in his hands to fill out the hands in the suit, is what he claimed.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also claimed that the odd gait of the walk with the soles of the feet coming down flat instead of going ball of foot was the ball of the foot landing first. He said that was he said that you had to do that. It's like try walking on flippers.
Yeah.
You go down flat to walk around. It was like big clown shoes kind of a thing. So he said the wearer would have had to have walked like that.
Snowshoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clompers.
He said the suit he made also explains the odd kind of partial turn, because if you see the turn, it turns with the hips. It doesn't turn. It does not crane in his neck completely when Bigfoot turns towards the camera. He's turning his hips quite a bit. He said that was also a characteristic of the suit.
He's like wrestlers with real thick necks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which gave me, and it could have been a Sasquatch with a really thick neck, possibly.
Did it have a really thick neck?
I'm sure it
didn't.
I mean, it must
Maybe
have.
she slept on.
Yes, she might
had
have.
a crick in her neck.
She was just napping by the creek, and they woke her up.
Yeah.
She's like,
I've been
getting
there.
out of here.
Yep.
Jerks. So also he claimed that Morris's wife vouched for him and said, "Yep, no, I knew he made it way back then," and said he was telling the truth. At the end of the day, we absolutely don't know who made the suit, but it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you think it's a suit, someone made that suit. So now who wore the suit? You remember Bob Hieronymus, the friend? He finally, in 1999, like Morris, he came forward and said, "I'm the man in the suit."
Wow.
He said he had been
Did he sign an affidavit though?
I don't think he did.
Well,
He is
then,
Bigfoot.
I'm not sure.
He said he didn't come forward earlier because he didn't want to be accused of taking part in a fraud. He said Patterson made a shit ton of money off of a fraud, and he was afraid of having his part in the crime.
Did he get any money?
He did not get a penny.
Wow.
He was promised money by Patterson, but true to form, Patterson never paid him a red cent.
Then he should have.
He absolutely should have.
He
He also
him out.
he said for years and years and years he thought that Patterson's Dachendine, the French guy, the two people who owned it, the widow, would eventually pay him, but they never did. So he finally came forward in 1999 and said, "Screw it, I'm not getting any money off it. I'm gonna expose this hoax."
Yeah, but you waited 30 years.
Well, he said he watched a documentary in 1998 on the Fox TV network about famous hoaxes, and he said, "Okay, I did the most famous hoax in the world." So about a month later, he came forward and said, "That's me." He said he basically did it for free with a promise for payment that Patterson never came through with. And there are various kind of tidbits of potential confirmation from this. His mother and his nephew said they remember seeing that suit about 2 days after the footage was shot in his house. A friend also said, "I saw it a few days later in his car." Another friend said that, he had talked about his part in the hoax way back in 1968, just after the film it happened.
So there are contemporaneous.
There kind of are. You have
Yeah.
to believe they're telling the truth. Some Bigfoot
I believe
believers
What do they gain?
say that they're lying just to support his story. So there are people that say that they're making it up.
Why?
They just
what do
dispute these statements.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to gain.
They really don't.
No, I mean,
Like he said, it could even
50 minutes of
potentially
fame.
hurt business.
People lie for attention
that's
all
true.
the time. So it's I don't know.
But if I have a friend who's seeking 15 minutes of fame,
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to back him up.
You wouldn't think
because
so.
that's just dumb.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't.
And
'Cause
I
some
wouldn't
people
lie
would.
to back you up
Wow.
if you said something dumb.
We're going to have to test that.
I think
You
a lot
wouldn't
of
lie to
people
back
wouldn't.
me up either.
Absolutely would.
No, you
No, you
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
I'm doing it right now. It's kind of meta. Hieronymus, for what's his worth, he was about 6'5" and a big dude.
Oh wow! So
See?
yeah, he could fill it out.
Yeah, he could.
I believe
He said,
Hieronymus.
by the way, he said he did use shoulder pads, but he did not use any sticks for the hands. That was, the suit.
Oh,
over
he
his
just got
hands.
his own spider monkey arms.
They're not insanely long.
I know they aren't really.
And again,
like,
the fingers and stuff would be fake. That'd be part of the suit. The hand would be a suit, but his hands were in the hands, like mittens with big Bigfoot fingers. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know if either one of the guys is telling the truth. To be honest, they may both be lying. One probably is lying because there's the things differ, but the suit differs from what Hieronymus and Morris said about it. But Morris said Patterson could have modified the suit so that they could both be telling the truth, or they could both be lying.
Yeah.
Honestly, we don't know.
It might be the second one.
It could be. Roger Patterson. At least with Hieronymus, we know he was a friend of Patterson. He was there in that film they did in 1967. He was big. I believe Hieronymus more than I do Morris.
Me too.
Patterson remained a Bigfoot hunter to the end. Just before he died, he sold some rights to the PGF to fund a trip to Thailand because a U.S. airman stationed in Thailand claimed that a Sasquatch in Thailand was being held alive in a Buddhist monastery.
Oh.
So Patterson...
What?
He secured some money, flew over the Bangkok, whatever, went to the airman.
Some money.
He sold some rights to his film, probably illegally, because remember he overlapped rights all the time. So he sold another batch of rights that he didn't have anymore to somebody, so he could fly to Thailand and check this airman who it was a complete hoax. Yeah. He was bitterly disappointed.
What year did he die?
72, I believe.
Oh,
that's
right.
1 or 2, something like that.
He lived 5 years after the.
What you think he is just a great
he was kind of an asshole.
Society who needs to be here?
He was a DB. Gimlin would always say that he thought the creature was real. He did sometimes acknowledge that, though. It's like, I could have been duped by Patterson. I don't think I was, but it's possible that I was duped by Patterson and he had some person in a suit walk by and I didn't know about it.
Gimlin.
He also said he regretted ever having done anything in Bluff Creek and ever having to do it because he was cheated out of the money that he was owed by Patterson and Diallo. Remember, he got very little money for it. He faced incredible ridicule back in Yakima. Almost no one seemed to believe him, and a lot of people thought he was insane or nuts or just an idiot for saying what he was saying about having filmed this Bigfoot. He remembers that people back in Yakima, sometimes they'd drive into his driveway and yell while he was home, "Bob, we want to go Bigfoot hunting," just to fuck with him because he was kind of
nice.
he was ridiculed back home for his part in this.
Yeah.
His wife, by the way, was a bank teller, and people would go to her line on purpose to fuck with her and tease her about her husband.
Wow.
And she couldn't take it. She said, I talked about leaving him multiple times because she said, I can't handle this kind of harassment. So it almost broke up their marriage.
I didn't know Yakima was full of bullies.
Yeah, they were definitely bullies.
Everywhere.
They're Bigfoot bullies is what they were.
Yeah.
These days, though, he makes his living by speaking at pretty much every Bigfoot convention imaginable.
Oh, geez.
He finally was persuaded, I think in the late 90s, something like that, he was finally persuaded to come talk at one. And he said that it changed his life. It helped him immensely. He said, the people there want to talk to me. They want to tell me about their experience. This turned my whole life around. So now that's all he does. He goes and talks to these adoring crowds, because he's a legend.
Yeah.
Patterson's long dead. He's the other guy. He's Paul Allen to Steve Jobs. Wait, that's Microsoft. Did I fuck that up? Who Paul Allen was to Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Is that right? Okay, so he's kind of like that. He's the other guy who, the lesser known, but the other guy who who had a direct hand in this. This is by far the biggest piece of evidence in all of Bigfoot lore. So he, was Gimlin the hoaxing partner of Roger Patterson? Was he an unwilling dupe, or did he really see something back in 1967 in Bluff Creek?
Well, okay. If it was a hoax, which we seem like we believe it was, and Hieronymus was in the suit, Hieronymus didn't go out there by himself.
Oh, no.
So he had to be with Patterson and Gimlin.
Yes, exactly.
So Gimlin knows.
That's why I said that earlier, kind of my snide remark, is that if this is a hoax, Gimlin had to be part of it. He's always claimed it was real, but like I said, he's kind of hedged and said, I don't know, maybe.
It could have been in a suit.
Okay, Bob, put the suit on.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead Gimlin over out to her too. So when I say go, you start walking across.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And no, he's not going to shoot you. We both he has a rifle. Yeah, no, he has a rifle, but he won't shoot you. I told him not to.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
Why he's the one who was spared from the information in the operation.
Yes, absolutely. So it's unlikely.
We don't know.
So shots in the dark, real or fake?
Fake.
Girl, we've been done it.
Not with this new whopper of information you give us at the end.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what. Pretend this film was in isolation, and we just had it, and we didn't know anything about it, who took it, where it was, blah blah blah. It would be very interesting, very fascinating. It's
Yeah.
like I said, but still, it wouldn't be conclusive. No one can
Yeah.
sit there and look at the film in isolation and say, absolutely, that's for sure Bigfoot. You
No.
can't. The people who say they do are tricking themselves.
I lean toward fake because I honestly don't believe there is a Bigfoot in
I would
existence.
love. We'll talk about it in a second, but in terms of the film, when you add the layer of who took it,
Yes.
the questions about how they took it,
Yeah.
the timeline, the development, the person he was, the people who have come forward, when all
Yeah.
that stuff gets thrown into the mix of the film being at best interesting in isolation, when you throw in the background and the who's and all the suspicions along with that, and then of course the whole tale of them having set out to do a fictional Bigfoot film,
Yes.
it makes it absurd. It makes it high. It tilts it to the very, very unlikely that is true.
Yeah.
Ledger in my mind, but which is too bad because I would love for there to be
I know you would.
unquestionable Bigfoot film.
You said
I'm not convinced that I don't think there's a Bigfoot, but there's the little tinge of me who keeps an open mind about that. You know, I mean,
You
obviously
think there might be?
there might be, but I,
I
say
mean, there
might
was-
with like really small font.
The size of the font doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, you know what I mean. God damn it. But here's the thing. I want there to be a Bigfoot, which means I'm going to demand that the evidence is absolutely valid. It seems like Bigfoot believers do the exact opposite. They have this closed
Yeah.
mind that there is a Bigfoot, and whatever you say to refute that is a lie and untrue, and I'll make up reasons why I don't believe your refutation, when they should have the exact opposite. They should look at the film critically, like John Napier did,
Yeah.
and say, you know, I've got some serious problems with it. In
Yeah.
all honesty, I still want there to be a Bigfoot. I still hope there's a Bigfoot out there, but this film doesn't do it. That's my take on Gimlin, Patterson-Gimlin.
Mm-hmm.
To convince everybody else, you gotta have the best, most incontrovertible evidence ever done did. So
And
Well,
if you-
which nobody's ever going to have, even if
Sure
it
they
did
are.
exist.
It's called a body.
if it exists, yeah, they are gonna maybe eventually
Absolutely,
have it.
It's a body. There's the old myth
Well,
about the Bigfoot.
okay.
It would be an
Hello,
actual-
there's been no body yet, so
I know,
there ain't
that-
going
which
to
is
be no
why,
body.
which explains my small font. That and the ever shrinking wild lands in all the
Uh-huh.
places where there
Very
supposedly
that.
are Bigfoot
Yeah.
makes it just. And, we have satellite images of every square inch of the earth.
Okay, but I can see something that exists without wanting to kill it and drag it home.
No, well, yes, but I'm saying if you want incontrovertible proof, it's not ever going to be by film or video. It's going to have to be physical.
Yeah.
It just is. And that's you always hear this thing. Well, do people ever find the bodies of bears and stuff in the forest? And the answer to that is,
Yes.
of course they
Yes.
do, you idiot. You hear that a
All
lot
the
from
time.
the Bigfoot crowd. It's like, oh, you never see. Yeah, no, they do all the time, dumbass. So that's so why haven't we stumbled? I'm not saying go kill a Bigfoot. If you go kill
Please
a Bigfoot, you're a
don't.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
You better not. I mean, I would not kill a Bigfoot even to prove its existence. But to run across a body seems like that'd be inevitable.
Yeah.
There has to be a breeding population. They have to have a decent amount of territory. There's no part of this again, these are in places like California
Yeah.
and Washington, where Bigfoot sightings have been in, I believe, every state except Hawaii. Literally,
Really?
it's literally true.
Huh.
So
Those volcanoes got to have some.
it might be the volcanoes, or if the fact it's an island, that could be
No,
also.
there's got to be something in.
No,
That's what
she's
I'm
saying there are.
Oh, there
Yeah,
are.
there's
Bigfoots
got to be
there.
Up in
some
the mountains.
big
Okay,
creature.
Hawaiian
and-
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mountain Bigfoot.
I mean exactly. Bigfoots have been sighted in 49 states.
Huh.
No, I know.
And
I
yet
know
no
what you're
body.
saying.
Some of those states are places like Kansas, where it's hard to hide a body. Rhode Island, hard to
That's
hide a
killing me.
body.
New York City Bigfoot.
Manhattan's Bigfoot. What are you doing? I like a bagel with some schmear.
Times Square Bigfoot.
That's it for the Patterson-Gimlin film.
You're
it's
welcome.
intriguing. It's fascinating.
They did a great job.
They did a fabulous
did.
job.
at that.
They did a great
fake.
job. They just should have
film.
made a terrible movie
Yeah.
about this, Ape Canyon and not pretended it was true. 'cause
Yeah.
it's
They
not.
succeeded though,
Sadly.
unfortunately.
I wish it was. I'm still hopeful. I still
Yeah.
want there to be a Bigfoot out there.
I think you were still hopeful that the.
No,
Oh,
was
Bigfoot.
real.
If you're listening, please
Come on the
email us
podcast.
or come on the podcast. We'd be happy. We'll make the time for you. You name the
Uh-huh.
time. You name the place. We'll make it happen.
Okay.
All right, Sasky. That's my nickname.
We'll fly up to Yakima.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. No. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening. Anything else, guys?
No.
A girl, no.
All right. Again, so we got a yes is true, and a maybe from me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you guys.
Weird
Bye.
World Podcast.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was preempting you because I knew you were
were.
going to ask me. Weird World Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Or no, Facebook and Instagram and Patreon, and Weird World Pod on Twitter. And weirdworldpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you, Carrie.
If your name is Bigfoot and you want to email me.
Oh, yes, please do. Okay.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye.